Welcome to this month's edition of E&P Connect. This month, E&P Connect looks at wastewater management in the Utica Shale.
Our injection volumes in the Appalachia region on a per well basis is very, very low. I saw one study last week that just the Appalachia, including the Marcellus and the Utica, saltwater disposal injection capacity and injection rates downhole are like 1/110th of what it is across the country. It's very minute when you look at it in the overall grand scheme of things. You know, you've got wells in South Texas, Oklahoma, in the Bakken. Those types of disposal wells do 15,000, 20,000 barrels a day. The average well in Appalachia might do 1,500. And Ohio has done a great job of monitoring saltwater disposal wells and regulating them. We have abided by all those rules and regulations, and we actually help those guys. I mean, we want to be good stewards of the environment, and our industry wants to help set a standard. So we have worked with Ohio DNR in their new division of their seismic group to allow them to, you know, place monitors around our disposal wells to monitor them for high pressure incidents. But you know, as you go further south into the Ohio area, down Ohio River, you have much better formations for injection. They're not tight geology-wise. You have some thicker sands that you can actually get more porosity and inject at lower pressures. That's the key, is never over maximizing your pressure input for an injection facility and staying well below those minimums that the state guides you on. The most common zone in the Appalachia region is probably the Clinton-Medina, and depending on where you're located, the further south you go, it's probably a little deeper. And then the further north you go, you could be in that 2,500 to 3,500 foot area. Some of the zones that we've injected to in the past have been as deep as, you know, 4,200, 4,500 feet, getting closer to 5. But once you get to that range, now you're starting to get to the Marcellus and getting below into the Utica. So not really good injection zones once you get to those areas. And we've always avoided deep injection. You know, they're called basement wells. I'm sure you've heard the term basement wells. We've taken a stance as a company. We know that you can get much higher injection rates in a basement well, but you have to inject at much higher pressures, and we've chosen as a company not to do that. The barging situation came up, you know, initially back in 2012. It's when we first got to Appalachia. You know, my history of doing things logistically along the inland waterways of Louisiana and into the Gulf of Mexico. When we first arrived up there to look at the logistics path of how we were going to get these large volumes of water from areas that were in remote locations in the hills, and how do we get them to the disposal wells, which were not directly located next to the E&P properties. We knew the only way to get it out at that point, get the brine out, was through transportation of truck. Trucking is not the most efficient way to move product. If you look at any industry in the country, the cheapest mode of transportation is by water. So that's where the concept came from, you know, knowing that barging, you can haul much higher quantities. It's also the safest mode of transportation of any industry across the country. Whether it's transporting by truck, rail, water is the safest. There's numerous studies that show that. Before we announced the barging project, we were hauling water from southwestern Pennsylvania to most of our disposal wells in Ohio. And we did a case study for this one company where we had five counties. We pulled all of the water from those wells in those five county area, put the total for transportation and disposal all in. For those wells that they had in that acreage position, it was, for 1 year, it was almost $12 million that they spent in transport and disposal. By us putting a network of pipelines and gathering networks down to transloading terminals, and then via barge taking it down south to other injection facilities that we have, we were going to save that one company about $6 million. Well, as GreenHunter stands, you know, this company is relatively new. I mean, we're redirected from our prior renewable days back in 2011, and we didn't enter the total fluids management business basically until 2012. So you're looking at 3 years, a company that's gone from only having 2 disposal wells in the state of Ohio to we'll have 15 wells.
We want to thank you, the viewer, and our sponsor for making this program possible. Until next time, let's stay connected.